Hey everyone, welcome back to another video and welcome back to another book review. The book that I will be talking about today is Kill the Farm Boy by Delilah S. Dawson and Kevin Hearne. Hearne. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And this book was picked out for me by one of my former co-workers, Summer, so thank you, Summer. So we're just going to get right into it. What is this book about? So this book is meant to be a spoof on the stereotypical fairy tale plot. There is a boy named Worsley who lives on a farm who is enchanted by a pixie and is told that he is picked out to be the, quote, chosen one. And must go on a quest to fulfill his destiny, yada, 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 right? But what actually happens is that this boy, Worsley, dies within the first 10% of the book. Spoiler. And his goat, Gustave, who gained the ability to talk when Worsley was visited by the fairy, goes on to meet a whole cast of wacky characters, and then they go on a quest to, well, fulfill their destiny, blah, blah, blah. It's a simple premise, but it's one that definitely can be worked with to make a unique and funny story. But unfortunately, I don't think that this book lives up to that kind of description. And before I get too deep into discussing my opinions on this book, I want to start with a simple statement. There are different types of humor that work well in different mediums, and in my opinion, the Monty Python-esque humor that this book tries to incorporate is better off being saved for performative mediums like movies, TVs, and stage. I feel a little bit bad saying that. I don't feel too happy about giving a bad review, but that's just how I feel about it. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it feels like this book tries to incorporate a sort of slapstick style humor that just doesn't translate well into books. For example, if I said in written form, if I just said, Jimmy did this thing and so I slapped him. If I just said that 3 times over the course of a book, you probably wouldn't find it all that funny. But the setup and then hesitation and execution of a joke that can happen in performative mediums, it lends itself very well to this kind of humor as opposed to something written like a book. And the book was kind of full of that slapstick kind of humor, or like maybe not gross out humor, but just more silly, yeah, slapsticky kind of humor. And I didn't really find it ever working too well throughout the duration of the book. And on top of this, the book itself doesn't really give you much to root for in terms of the characters. The cast of characters consists of the sarcastic goat Gustave, a tall, muscular female warrior, a half-woman, half-rabbit bard that isn't very good at being a bard, an incompetent rogue and their equally incompetent wizard master, and a selfish witch. The only 2 characters that experience any kind of growth throughout the book are the goat and the rabbit woman, but even their growth feels insignificant due to the nature of how the story is presented. When 90% of the characters in your book are described initially as being either incompetent, annoying, or selfish, you don't really end up wanting to root for the characters all that much. You kind of just feel like you're along for the ride and you're just a part of this group of these annoying characters, and you kind of don't want to be there as well. And another thing is that being a spoof on fairy tale stories, the book makes fun of a lot of the fairy tale tropes, especially the chosen one trope. And so it's emphasized throughout the book that whoever is given the chosen one aura is essentially immortal until they complete the task that they are destined to complete. That's hence the chosen one, right? And this seems like it's not actually the case at first, because the boy Worsley dies almost immediately after setting off on his adventure, until it's revealed that it was actually the goat that was given the aura, which is also the reason why he is able to talk all of a sudden in the beginning of the book. Credit where credit is due, this was the one funny subversion of expectations throughout the book, and I thought that I did genuinely think it was funny that just it was revealed that the main character is this goat. But for the rest of the book, the cast of characters uses the chosen one aura as an excuse to basically say they're plot armored. And as a result, the reader sort of feels like there's no stakes, and honestly, there aren't. Nothing dangerous that happens to the group of characters feels like it has any real stakes because of this aura that they're constantly surrounded by. And when things do have consequences for the characters, it's simply because of the fact that they are not near the goat in that moment. So they're not near the aura, and so bad things can happen. And overall, the story has very little building to its frankly anticlimactic resolution. And I really don't want to bash this book all too much, but I do think that the main issue I have with this book can be simplified into one sentence. It's a decently written story in entirely the wrong medium. I think made as a play or a movie, this story would have worked much better. Characters could have been shown to be clumsy or awkward or selfish, as opposed to the writer having to remind the reader every few pages that, hey, don't forget, this character is still incompetent. I don't know. I just feel like this book isn't far off from a story like Shrek, which is incredibly funny and worked great as a movie. But as a book, this story here just didn't do all that much for me. So overall, I'm going to give the book a 4 out of 10. Again, I don't feel too good about that, but just I didn't get all too much enjoyment out of the story in its written form. And okay, one final note. After reading this book, I read the part of the back here that had some quotes from a few reviews, and one of the reviews in particular from Publisher Weekly said that the author, quote, makes fun of the typical white male power fantasies. And I just want to say, like, that's an incredibly stupid way of describing what this book is. I feel like the reason they said that is because the leader of the group is a woman, but it's like, it's not like anyone's reading this book going, whoa, a female protagonist, a female strong warrior in my fairy tale story? No way, Jose. No, what? I mean, and also, I think maybe they could be alluding to the fact that in the beginning of the book, it seems like that we're going to be following the boy Worsley, but then he's killed off. And again, I don't even think it's specified that he's white, and even if he was, it's like, who cares? It has no bearing on the story. And also, spoiler warning, but the female rogue in the story ends up dying, hallucinating that she's being chased by a chicken until she runs off of a cliff. So it's not like all the women in the story are particularly role models either. And at the end of the story, the group works together to make a man the king of the kingdom. So again, what exactly are we getting at with the whole, like, making fun of the white male power fantasy? If they were, I feel like they wouldn't have made a male king at the end of the story. I don't know. It just feels a little bit ridiculous. Like I said, I didn't like the book all that much, but I did like it enough to say that that particular viewpoint as to what the book is just completely ridiculous. Anyhow, that's the end of the book review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have another review in the works. It should be coming out soon, so look forward to that. Anyways, that's it. Have a good one. Bye.